Hey everybody. So when Philadelphia called up Carter Hart to be their goaltender, I was really against it. I did not think he was ready yet given his AHL numbers, and I thought that they could really hurt this kid long term by bringing him up too early. But since he's been called up, Carter Hart has looked fantastic in goal for the Flyers. He's got 2 wins under his belt already. Now, it's only been a couple of games, so the sample size here is obviously very small. But since being called up, he's 2-0-0 with a 1.50 goals against average and a 944 save percentage. He has a 3-2 win over Detroit and a 2-1 win over Nashville. Hart has looked really good. The Flyers as a whole have looked a lot better playing in front of Carter Hart as opposed to the way that they were playing in front of their other goaltenders. They're not hanging him out to dry the way they have their other goalies. They're playing much stronger team defense. They're not turning pucks over as much. They're not making Carter Hart make grade A saves all the time. They're trying to keep shots against to a minimum, and they're trying to keep those shots against, as outside, chances, not making Carter Hart, defend shots from the slot or 3 rebound chances in a row or anything like that. So they're playing much better Team D in front of him, and he is playing very strong hockey in net. Again, he hasn't had to make these huge, spectacular saves. He's just had to make the saves that he should make, and he's been doing that. He's made, he's winning games, and he's stopping the pucks that he should stop. So, Hart's looked good. Given, his AHL numbers weren't great. He was giving up over 3 goals a game in the AHL. He comes up to the NHL and his goals against is only 1.50. Now, these numbers aren't going to keep up all season, obviously. He's not going to go undefeated. His goals against is not going to remain under 2. His save percentage is not going to be over 940. This is only a tiny 2-game sample size. I've just been impressed with how he's looked. He looks more ready than I thought he was going to be. So maybe they did make the right move, because Philly, they were struggling in every facet of the game. They were struggling to win any games. And now he comes in and they rally around him. They rally around a new coach, and now they're 2-0 under Scott Gordon. They're 2-0 with Carter Hart in net. And we'll see if it continues. They have one more game at home tomorrow, and then they have a long road trip ahead of them. So, it's going to be interesting to see how they look at, during that road trip where they're going away for a little while, and if this continues. Because if Philly's in such a deep hole at this point, where in the standings it's going to be really hard for them to pull back into it. But if they can string 5 or 6 wins together, then you can't completely count them out. I've been saying, I think Philly at this point, their chances of making the playoffs are like paper thin, almost none. But if they can pull some wins together and string them together and win 5, 6, 7 games in a row, then you can quickly climb in the standings if you start winning, if you start having long winning streaks. So while I don't think Philly's able to pull themselves back into a playoff spot, I do think they can make things interesting if they continue to play this well. They're now winning close games. They're winning low-scoring games. These are things they were not doing for most of this season. Philly was not winning 2-1 games with Brian Elliott or Anthony Stolarz or Michael Neuwirth in net. If they were winning, it was like 5-3 or 5-4, and a lot of times those goaltenders were giving up 4 or 5 goals a night. Carter Hart has come in, he's given up 2 and he's given up 1, and that's the kind of goaltending they have not gotten at all this year from anyone else. So the sample size is small, so let's not go give this kid Rookie of the Year yet. The sample size is very small, but he has looked good. And I think that's a very good sign for the Flyers. while it may not get them into the playoffs this year, and I'm sure there's going to be ups and downs. With every single young player in the league, there are ups and downs. Nobody comes in and is just perfect all the time. As good as he's looked so far, there's going to be a game or two along the way where he just gets absolutely lit up, and that's going to happen, because that's just what happens with young players. It's a roller coaster. It's up and down, up and down. And while he's riding a pretty good high right now, and he's come into the league, he's looked really, really strong. He's making all the saves he needs to make. He's winning games. At some point, he's going to give up a bad goal. At some point, he's going to have a game where he gets lit up for 4 or 5. The important thing is how he bounces back from that. If he gives up a bad goal in the first period, is that going to ruin the rest of the game for him? Is he going to get in his own head and end up, giving up 4 or 5 because he can't get that one bad goal out of his head? When he gets pulled from a game, is that going to, hurt him psychologically, or is he going to be like, you know what? Yeah, I played like shit today. It's a bad game. Every goalie has a bad game. And I'll just come back out the next night and try and get the win and play better. I mean, there's no goaltender in the NHL that's never been pulled. It doesn't exist. It's how you bounce back from things like that. And that's what I really want to see with Carter Hart, because he's riding this high right now. He's been really, really good since being called up, but that's not going to last forever. At some point, things are going to go south, whether it's for a period, whether it's for a game, whether it's for a couple of games stretch. Things are going to go bad at some point. So I want to see how he reacts to that and how he bounces back from that, and how the Flyers as a team bounce back from that. Because, if they can win 7 in a row and pull themselves right back into playoff contention, but then they can go and lose 4 or 5 in a row and drop right back out. So they as a team, need to be resilient and able to bounce back when adversity hits as well. So, small sample size, a lot still to look forward to, a lot to look for with this team. But so far, Carter Hart has really impressed me for a 20-year-old goaltender in the NHL for the first time. He's looked really, really good to this point. So we'll see how long that continues and how he reacts and the team reacts when things start to go the other way, because it's inevitable with a young player. Things are not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. It's a roller coaster. Things are going to go bad at some point. So it's about getting back on track when things do go bad very quickly, and it's about being resilient and not letting that get to you. It's just say, okay, this was a bad game, let's move on to the next one. If he can do that, then that's a really, really good sign for him this season and long term as an NHL goaltender. So I've been impressed with Carter Hart. How about you? Let me know in the comment section down below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. Check out offthewallhockey.com. All those links are in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.